"We need to cut dead weight," my father-in-law said at the board meeting, pointing at me. "You're done." My wife added, "I want a divorce." "You deserve nothing." In an hour, I had to leave. The next day, their phones blew up with 88 calls. The worst part? The people I trusted most pulled the trigger. Can you imagine pouring a decade of your life, every ounce of your sweat and soul, into building something extraordinary, only to have it ripped away in a single, gut-wrenching moment of betrayal? What if the people you loved and trusted most were actually orchestrating your downfall, turning your entire world into a carefully constructed lie? I was standing there, in the corner of my father-in-law, Montgomery Blackwell's lavish penthouse, the air buzzing with the fake cheer of his retirement party. For 10 long years, I'd busted my ass, transforming Blackwell Industries from a flailing mess into a billion-dollar powerhouse. Every single morning, for a decade, I was the first one in, the last one out. Weekends, holidays, everything went into resurrecting a company Montgomery himself had nearly driven into the ground. My wife, Diana, was floating through the crowd, totally in her element. Her dark hair cascaded perfectly down her back, a picture of effortless grace. She was Montgomery's only child, the princess of the Blackwell dynasty, but she'd never once shown an ounce of interest in actually running the family business. Then Montgomery tapped his glass. His face was ruddy from all the alcohol, his voice booming across the room. "Attention, everyone." The crowd quieted. I moved closer, a sense of anticipation building in my chest. This was it. The speech. The one we'd rehearsed, the one where he'd formally announced me as CEO. We'd talked about this transition for years. "Blackwell Industries has been my life's work," Montgomery boomed again. "But every dynasty needs new blood." Diana slipped to her father's side, beaming. I caught her eye, and she quickly looked away. Something cold, a knot, started to form in my stomach. That's why I'm thrilled to announce that Blackwell Industries will soon be in the capable hands of none other than... He paused dramatically. "Nolan Pierce." The name hit me like a physical blow. A punch to the gut. The crowd gasped. I froze. Nolan Pierce stepped forward from behind Montgomery, that confident smile revealing perfect teeth. Nolan. Diana's college sweetheart. The man she'd dated for 5 years before me. The guy who had mysteriously reappeared in our lives just 6 months ago, brought in as a business consultant. Time for new blood. Montgomery boomed again, slapping Nolan on the back. My gaze snapped to Diana. She wasn't surprised. No, she was smiling at Nolan. A private, intimate smile I hadn't seen in years. Her eyes sparkled with something that made my blood turn to ice. "I've always believed in forward thinking," Montgomery continued, completely oblivious. "Victor has done adequate work maintaining what we built, but Nolan brings fresh vision and the pedigree this company deserves." Adequate? 10 years of 70-hour weeks? 10 years of navigating the company through recessions and market crashes? 10 years of increasing profits by 300%? Adequate? Nolan raised his glass, utterly smarmy. "I'm honored, sir, and I promise to take Blackwell Industries to heights it's never seen before." Montgomery nodded approvingly. "Diana always said you were destined for greatness." Diana blushed, avoiding my gaze, and that's when it all clicked into place. The late nights. The sudden business trips. The text messages she'd shielded from my view. I set my glass down, carefully, almost reverently. Without a single word, I walked to the coat closet, retrieved my jacket, and headed for the elevator. No one even noticed my departure. All eyes were on their golden boy. The prodigal son returned. In the parking garage, I sat in my car, staring at nothing. 10 years of my life erased in a single, brutal moment. My marriage, my career, my future, all of it built on quicksand. My phone buzzed. A message from Lawrence Reeves, my personal attorney and the only person at Blackwell Industries who had been loyal to me, not the Blackwell name. I heard, "This isn't legal. Call me." I didn't respond. Instead, I drove home, packed my essential belongings, emptied the safe of important documents, and left a note on the kitchen counter. "Enjoy your new life." As I drove away from the home I'd shared with Diana for 8 years, the shock, the searing pain, it started to crystallize into something harder, colder. By Monday morning, they would all learn a fundamental truth about Victor Harlow. I didn't get mad. I got even. Chapter 2. The foundation. I checked into an upscale hotel downtown, making sure to request a suite with a direct view of the Blackwell Industries headquarters. I ordered room service, poured myself a scotch, and immediately started making calls. By midnight, I had secured a temporary office in a discreet location and arranged meetings with some key players for Saturday and Sunday. But as the adrenaline started to fade, the memories, the sharp edges of betrayal, flooded in. I sat by the window, watching the city lights blur, remembering how it all began. 12 years ago, I was a rising star at Meridian Capital, known for salvaging failing companies. Montgomery Blackwell, desperate, had approached me to save his floundering family business. I was reluctant. Blackwell Industries was practically unsalvageable. But then I met Diana. She had accompanied her father to the meeting, ostensibly as the company's marketing director, though I quickly realized she knew little about actual marketing. What she did know was how to command a room with her sheer presence. Tall, graceful, with intelligent gray eyes that missed nothing, Diana Blackwell had fascinated me from the first moment. My father's business means everything to our family, she told me over dinner that evening. We've been industry leaders for 3 generations. I can't bear to see it end with us. I, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to support me, was captivated by Diana's world. A world of family legacies and generational wealth. I had always built things for others. The idea of building something for myself, of being part of a legacy, was intoxicating. I took the job. Against all odds, I turned Blackwell Industries around. And somewhere in those exhausting first months, Diana fell in love with me. Or so I thought. We married after a whirlwind courtship. Montgomery had seemed pleased, even calling me the son I never had. For 10 years, I believed I had found my place, my family, my legacy. There had been warning signs, of course. Diana's reluctance to have children. Her father's subtle, constant reminders that I wasn't born into the business world. The way certain clients and partners were kept away from me, handled exclusively by Montgomery. And then there was Nolan Pierce. Diana had mentioned him occasionally, her college boyfriend, the one who got away. I'd never felt threatened. After all, I was her husband. Her choice. Then 6 months ago, Nolan had appeared at a charity gala. I remember Diana's reaction, the sudden flush. In her cheeks, the nervous laughter. A week later, Montgomery hired Nolan as a consultant. Diana started working late, collaborating with Nolan on special projects. My phone rang, pulling me back to the present. Lawrence Reeves. Victor, we need to talk. What they're doing isn't just wrong. It's actionable. No, my voice was steady. I'm not interested in legal remedies, Lawrence. What are you planning? I had a prenup drawn up that Montgomery insisted on. Ironic, isn't it? He was so concerned about Diana's inheritance that he never considered I might be the one getting betrayed. The prenup doesn't cover this situation. Victor, this is constructive termination, breach of contract, possibly fraud. I'm not filing lawsuits, Lawrence. I want something more comprehensive. Silence on the line. Then, be careful, Victor. You're angry now. I'm not angry, I interrupted. I'm focused. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and pulled up a folder labeled Contingency. Inside were documents I had prepared years ago, right after the first time I overheard Montgomery questioning my suitability to lead Blackwell Industries permanently. I had survived an impoverished childhood and built myself from nothing. I hadn't reached my position by being naive. While the Blackwells saw me as an outsider, a useful tool, I had been quietly preparing for this day. Every contract I had negotiated, every client relationship I had cultivated, every innovation I had implemented, all could be weaponized. By dawn, I had made a comprehensive list of Blackwell Industries' vulnerabilities, Diana's secrets, and Nolan's weaknesses. I had spent a decade being underestimated. Now they would learn the true cost of that mistake. Chapter 3. The preparation. The weekend passed in a blur of meetings and intense preparations. I operated with surgical precision, my emotions locked away. On Saturday morning, I met with Vanessa Tucker, head of product development at Blackwell Industries, and one of the few executives who respected me for my abilities rather than my marriage. "I can't believe Montgomery did this," Vanessa said, sliding into the booth at the quiet cafe I'd chosen. "Half the executive team is in shock." "Only half?" I asked with a grim smile. "The rest are Blackwell loyalists. They'll follow Montgomery off a cliff." "And where do you stand, Vanessa?" She met my gaze steadily. "I stand with the person who approved my innovations when Montgomery wanted to stick with outdated product lines. I stand with the person who promoted me when Montgomery said a woman couldn't handle the pressure." I nodded. "I need everything you have on Project Phoenix." Her eyes widened. "That's Nolan's baby. It's under triple encryption. Which is why I need you. You're the only one besides Nolan with full security clearance." She hesitated. "Victor, if I do this, there's no going back." "There's already no going back, Vanessa. Montgomery and Nolan made sure of that." By Saturday evening, I had the complete Project Phoenix files. Nolan's ambitious plan to pivot Blackwell Industries away from its core business into emerging markets. The plan was innovative, yes, but deeply flawed, built on assumptions and projections that completely ignored fundamental market realities. On Sunday, I met with Thomas Wolfe, a venture capitalist who had been trying to partner with Blackwell Industries for years, only to be repeatedly rebuffed by Montgomery. "Monty always was a short-sighted fool," Thomas said, reviewing the documents I had prepared. "But these projections, are you certain?" "I built Blackwell's financial models," I replied. "I know exactly how to break them." Thomas leaned back. "What you're proposing would effectively create a competitor that could overtake Blackwell Industries within 2 years. 18 months, I corrected. "And I'm not proposing a partnership, Thomas. I'm offering you the opportunity to invest in the ground floor of something revolutionary." By Sunday night, I had secured initial funding commitments, established a framework for a new company, and identified key Blackwell employees to recruit. I had also arranged for a detailed investigation into Nolan Pierce's professional history. Diana called 17 times over the weekend. I let each call go to voicemail. Her messages evolved from confused to concerned to angry. "Victor, where are you? We need to talk about what happened. Victor, please call me back. This isn't what you think. Victor, you're being childish. Come home so we can discuss this like adults." The final message, left Sunday evening, was particularly telling. "Daddy is furious about how you left the party. Nolan says you're being unprofessional. If you want to salvage anything from this situation, you need to accept reality and come home now." As midnight approached, I stood at the hotel window. Across the city, the Blackwell Industries tower stood illuminated, the company logo glowing against the night sky. Tomorrow, they expected me to crawl back, to accept my demotion gracefully, to stand beside my wife while another man took everything I had built. They were about to learn how badly they had misjudged me. Chapter 4. Monday morning, I arrived at Blackwell Industries at precisely 7:30 a.m., my usual time. I wore my best suit and carried my customary briefcase. To anyone watching, I appeared completely normal, except for the small moving crew that accompanied me to my office. Marjorie, my assistant for the past 8 years, stared in shock as the men began carefully packing my personal items. "Mr. Harlow, what's happening?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "A transition, Marjorie," I said, handing her an envelope. Inside is a job offer. Double your current salary, full benefits, and stock options. The address is included. If you're interested, be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But what about my loyalty to? Your loyalty to me over the years has been invaluable, I continued calmly. Whatever you decide, I want you to know that I appreciate everything you've done. As word spread of my presence, executives started appearing at my door, their expressions ranging from curious to concerned. At 8:15, Nolan Pierce arrived, briefcase in hand, wearing a bespoke Italian suit I recognized, likely purchased with his new consulting fees. He faltered momentarily at the sight of the movers, then recovered his composure. "Victor, I was hoping we could talk." "By all means." I gestured to the chair across from my desk, the only furniture not yet packed. Nolan sat, his confident smile firmly in place. Look, I know Friday night was awkward. For what it's worth, I pushed for Montgomery to handle the transition more delicately. I'm sure you did. My voice revealed nothing. Look, I understand you've put a lot into this company. No one's disputing that. But Montgomery feels, and I agree, that Blackwell Industries needs fresh perspectives to remain competitive. Fresh perspectives, I repeated, like Project Phoenix. Nolan's smile faltered just a touch. You know about Phoenix? I know it's built on fundamentally flawed market projections, overestimates revenue potential by approximately 40%, and ignores regulatory challenges in at least 3 key markets. Nolan leaned forward. Those projections were prepared by top analysts. My analysts, I corrected, who were instructed to provide you with the data you wanted to see, not the data you needed to see. For the first time. Uncertainty flickered across Nolan's face. What are you saying? I'm saying that Project Phoenix, as currently formulated, will fail spectacularly. And you, as the new CEO, will be holding the bag when it does. Nolan's expression hardened. This is pathetic, Victor. You're trying to sabotage the company because your ego can't handle being replaced. Not replaced, I said quietly. Betrayed. There's a difference. At that moment, Diana appeared in the doorway. She wore a cream-colored dress I had bought her for our anniversary. Her expression a careful mask of concern. Victor, she said. You didn't come home. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and wondered how I had missed the ambition burning behind those gray eyes, the cold calculation in her perfect smile. I'm not coming home, Diana. I filed for divorce. Your father's attorneys will receive the paperwork this morning. Diana's mask slipped, revealing a flash of genuine fear. You can't be serious. After everything we've built together. That's just it, I said, standing. I built. You and your father waited for the right moment to take it away. The movers finished packing the last of my belongings. I picked up my briefcase and walked to the door. Diana caught my arm. Victor, please, we can work this out. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Don't throw away 10 years over one misunderstanding. I gently removed her hand. It wasn't a misunderstanding, Diana. It was a miscalculation. As I walked through the executive floor toward the elevator, I passed Montgomery's office. The old man stood in the doorway, his face flushed with anger. Running away, Harlow? I always told Diana you didn't have what it takes. Real Blackwells fight for what's theirs. I stopped. I couldn't agree more, Montgomery. And I'm about to show you exactly what that looks like. By 9:30 a.m., I had left the building for the last time. By noon, the documents dissolving my marriage were delivered to the Blackwell legal team. By 3 p.m., my new company, Phoenix Rising, was officially registered. And by 5 p.m., 7 key Blackwell Industries executives had tendered their resignations, effective immediately. The counterattack had begun. Chapter 5. Revelations. Diana found me at my hotel that evening. I wasn't surprised. Her father had enough connections to track anyone in the city. You need a key card for the elevator, she said, slipping into the hotel bar where I sat reviewing documents. And yet here you are, I replied, signaling the bartender for another scotch. Diana slid onto the stool beside me. She had changed into a simple black dress, her makeup understated, her hair pulled back, the look she wore when she wanted to appear vulnerable. You've been busy today, she said. Half the product development team resigned. Vanessa Tucker emptied her office and disappeared. 7 executives gone without notice. The remaining 7 will announce their departures tomorrow. Diana paled. You're trying to destroy my father's company. Your father's company. I laughed softly. The company he ran into the ground before I saved it. The company I rebuilt with my sweat and sacrifice. That company. Our company, Diana amended. Our life, Victor. Whatever you think happened. What I think happened, I interrupted, is that you and your father used me to salvage Blackwell Industries. Once it was profitable again, you orchestrated my replacement with your former lover. How am I doing so far? Diana's eyes narrowed. It wasn't like that. Nolan's return was coincidental. Nothing in your world happens by coincidence, Diana. Your father taught you better than that. She reached for my hand. I withdrew it. Victor, please. I know you're hurt. I'm not hurt, Diana. I'm awake. She changed tactics, her expression hardening. What do you want? Money? A settlement? Name your price. I already have what I want. Clarity. I gather my documents. 10 years ago, I thought I married a woman who loved me. Now I know I married a Blackwell, someone who sees people as resources to be used and discarded. That's unfair. Is it? Tell me something, Diana. When did you and Nolan reconnect? Was it really 6 months ago, or have you been in contact all along? Her silence was answer enough. How long have you been planning to replace me? Diana looked away. It wasn't like that. When did you stop loving me? Or did you ever love me at all? She met my gaze, her eyes suddenly cold. I loved what you could do for my family. Isn't that enough? Most marriages are built on less. I nodded, a strange relief washing over me. Thank you for your honesty. Finally. What happens now? Diana asked. You take half our assets and run off to start a competing business? Daddy will bury you. Your father insisted on the prenuptial agreement. Remember? I get nothing from the divorce except what I brought into the marriage. Diana smiled triumphantly. Exactly. So, this tantrum of yours, stealing our employees, whatever scheme you're plotting, it's pointless, isn't it? I stood. Your father also insisted that I sign a non-compete agreement when we married. The agreement that I had Lawrence Reeves carefully modify before signing. Diana's smile faltered. What are you talking about? The modified clause states that I cannot compete with Blackwell Industries while married to a Blackwell. The moment our divorce is finalized, which given the prenup should be remarkably quick, that restriction evaporates. You tricked my father. I prepared for the day when the mask would slip. Today is that day. As Diana absorbed this, her phone buzzed. She checked it, her face paling. What have you done? Nolan says the Phoenix projections are all wrong. The data is corrupted. Not corrupted. Corrected. I simply ensured that Nolan has accurate market projections to work with. If Phoenix fails now, it will be due to his leadership, not faulty data. Diana stood, her composure cracking. You won't get away with this. My father. Your father made a critical error, I said quietly. He taught me everything about Blackwell Industries, its strengths, its weaknesses, its vulnerabilities. And then he gave me a reason to use that knowledge against him. As Diana stormed out, I felt no satisfaction, only a cold, hard determination. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday. By then, I needed every piece in place. Chapter 6. Counterpoints. The next 3 days unfolded with the precision of a military campaign. I worked from my temporary headquarters, a converted warehouse space that had been prepared months ago, another part of my contingency plan. By Wednesday, 23 key Blackwell employees had joined Phoenix Rising. By Thursday, that number had doubled. Each defector brought valuable skills, client relationships, and institutional knowledge. Thomas Wolfe had secured full funding. Lawrence Reeves had expedited the divorce proceedings, leveraging the prenuptial agreement to bypass normal delays. And Vanessa Tucker had reconstructed the product development pipeline that had been her domain at Blackwell Industries. On Thursday afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor. Montgomery Blackwell himself, red-faced and breathing heavily, was escorted into my office by security. You ungrateful parasite, Montgomery snarled. After everything I did for you. Please, Montgomery, save the righteous indignation for someone who still believes it. I remained seated. How did you find me? You think I don't have ways to track down traitors? I made you, Harlow. I can unmake you just as easily. I gestured to a chair. Sit before you give yourself another heart attack. Surprisingly, Montgomery complied. His breathing labored. What do you want? Is this about money, position, your precious ego? It's about consequences, Montgomery. Actions have them. So, this is revenge. You're dismantling my company because I hurt your feelings. I leaned forward. I'm creating a competing company because you and your daughter violated my trust, manipulated me for a decade, and conspired to steal my work. The fact that it may destroy Blackwell Industries is simply collateral damage. Montgomery's face darkened. You won't succeed. The board meets tomorrow. I've already secured their support for Nolan's appointment and your termination for cause. For cause. I raised an eyebrow. On what grounds? Intellectual property theft, solicitation of employees, corporate espionage. Take your pick. Interesting charges, considering I've taken nothing but my personal belongings and my own expertise. The employees who left made their own decisions. And as for espionage, well, that would require proof. Montgomery smiled nastily. Proof like Vanessa Tucker accessing confidential files before her resignation. We have the server logs, Victor. This was unexpected. I maintained my composure while mentally recalculating. Those files pertain to projects under her supervision. Projects that mysteriously disappeared along with her. The board will see it for what it is. Montgomery stood shakily. You've overplayed your hand, son. By this time tomorrow, you'll be facing criminal charges, not running a competing business. After Montgomery left, I called an emergency meeting with my core team. We've been compromised, I told them. Montgomery has evidence that could derail everything. What kind of evidence? Lawrence asked. Server logs showing Vanessa accessed Project Phoenix files before leaving. Vanessa paled. I was careful. You used your authorized credentials during normal working hours, which proves you accessed the files, but not why, I said. Montgomery's spinning it as intellectual property theft. Can he make that stick? Thomas asked. Lawrence frowned. Potentially. Even the appearance of impropriety could trigger injunctions that would freeze our operations while the courts sort it out. Then we accelerate the timeline, I decided. The board meets at 2 p.m. tomorrow. We need to move before then. How? Vanessa asked. We're not ready to launch. We don't need to launch. We just need to control the narrative. I outlined my revised plan. By the time the meeting concluded, everyone had their assignments. The stakes had escalated, but so had my resolve. Montgomery had taught me another valuable lesson in business. As in war, the unexpected attack often succeeded where the telegraphed one failed. That night, I received a text from Diana. Is there still a way to fix this? I didn't respond. There was nothing to fix, only something to finish. Chapter 7. The board meeting Friday dawned clear and cold. I dressed meticulously in a suit I had never worn to Blackwell Industries, a subtle psychological detail that would register subconsciously with the board members. At 1:30 p.m., I walked into Blackwell headquarters accompanied by Lawrence Reeves and Thomas Wolfe. We were expected. I had requested to address the board before any vote on my termination, a courtesy the board chair couldn't reasonably deny. In the boardroom, 14 men and women sat around the massive table, their expressions carefully neutral. Montgomery sat at the head, with Nolan to his right and Diana to his left. I noted the strategic positioning, a unified front of the Blackwell dynasty. Mr. Harlow, the board chair, Ms. Reynolds, began. You have 10 minutes to address the allegations against you before we proceed with the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. I remain standing. I'll need less than that. I'm here today not to defend myself, but to extend an opportunity to this board. I distributed folders to each member. Inside, you'll find a detailed analysis of Project Phoenix, the initiative Mr. Pierce plans to spearhead as the new CEO. You'll also find accurate market projections, regulatory assessments, and competitive analyses. All information that was deliberately withheld from you. Nolan started to protest, but Montgomery silenced him with a gesture. Additionally, I continued, you'll find a prospectus for Phoenix Rising, my new venture. I paused for effect. The final page outlines our offer to acquire Blackwell Industries' core business lines at a premium of 30% over current market valuation. The room erupted in murmurs. Montgomery slammed his hand on the table. This is preposterous. You're attempting to steal my company after sabotaging it from within. I'm offering a lifeline, I corrected. Project Phoenix will fail. The market conditions are wrong. The regulatory environment is hostile, and the financial projections are fantasy. My analysis proves this conclusively. Your analysis is biased. Nolan interjected. You're desperate to undermine the company now that you've been replaced. I turned to the board. Consider the source of your information. Mr. Pierce has been on the Blackwell payroll for 6 months. I built this company for 10 years. Who has more incentive to present accurate data? Ms. Reynolds, the board chair, studied the documents thoughtfully. These projections are significantly different from what we've been shown previously. Because they're accurate, I said. Mr. Pierce has been telling Mr. Blackwell what he wants to hear, not what he needs to know. Montgomery's face reddened dangerously. This is character assassination. Victor Harlow stole proprietary information, solicited our employees, and is now attempting to leverage that theft into a hostile takeover. Interesting accusation, I replied calmly, especially considering this. I handed Ms. Reynolds another document. This is a forensic analysis of the server logs Mr. Blackwell plans to use as evidence against me. You'll note that the timestamps have been altered to suggest files were accessed after hours, when in fact they were accessed during normal business operations. Montgomery. He lunged to his feet. That's a lie. The digital signature doesn't lie, Montgomery. Someone modified those logs, and it wasn't me. All eyes turned to Montgomery, whose face had gone from red to ash white. Diana reached for her father's arm as he swayed. Dad, what's he talking about? Montgomery clutched his chest, his breathing labored. He's trying to confuse the issue. I watched dispassionately as Montgomery collapsed into his chair. Diana cried out, rushing to her father's side. Someone called for an ambulance. In the chaos, I approached Ms. Reynolds. The offer stands for 24 hours. After that, Phoenix Rising will proceed with our independent launch, and Blackwell Industries will face a competitor specifically designed to exploit its weaknesses. As paramedics rushed into the boardroom, I and my team quietly exited. In the elevator, Lawrence gave me a sidelong glance. Did you know he would react that way? Montgomery has a history of heart problems when under stress. It was a calculated risk. And if he dies? I met my friend's gaze evenly. Then Diana inherits his voting shares, which would make our negotiation more straightforward. Thomas whistled softly. Remind me never to cross you, Harlow. As we reached the lobby, my phone buzzed with a message from Diana. This is your fault. If he dies, I'll destroy you. I put my phone away. Phase 1 complete. Now for Phase 2. Chapter 8. Revelations and Reversals. Montgomery survived. The heart attack was minor, but it forced an emergency postponement of the board meeting. In the interim, Ms. Reynolds initiated an independent audit of Project Phoenix and requested a formal due diligence review of my acquisition offer. 3 days later, I received a call from Ms. Reynolds. The board has concerns, Mr. Harlow. Your analysis of Project Phoenix appears sound, but there are questions about your funding, your team's capability to execute, and the long-term viability of your offer. Understandable concerns, I replied. I'm prepared to address them in detail. Good. The board will reconvene on Friday. In the meantime, Mr. Blackwell has been advised to rest. His daughter will represent his interests. I smiled. I look forward to it. After hanging up, I turned to Vanessa. Montgomery sidelined. Diana's taking point. Is that good or bad for us? She asked. It's perfect. Diana understands the business, but she lacks her father's emotional connection to it. She'll make decisions based on her personal interests, not the company's legacy. You sound like you know her well, Vanessa observed. I was married to her for 10 years, I replied. I know exactly how she thinks. The next day, Diana requested a private meeting. I agreed to see her at my hotel, with Lawrence present as a witness. Diana arrived looking polished but tired, the strain of recent events evident in the tightness around her eyes. Victor, she nodded coolly. Lawrence. Miss Blackwell, Lawrence replied formally. Still Harlow, technically, Diana corrected, at least until the divorce is finalized. I gestured to the sitting area. What can I do for you, Diana? She sat, crossing her legs deliberately. You can explain what you hope to accomplish with this vendetta. It's not a vendetta. It's business. Business born from betrayal. Don't insult my intelligence, Victor. This is personal. Perhaps I conceded. But my offer to the board is straightforward and financially sound. Diana leaned forward. And if I could offer you something more valuable than money? Lawrence shifted uncomfortably. Miss Harlow, I should advise you that any offer. Nolan is gone, Diana interrupted. I fired him this morning. I raised an eyebrow. On what grounds? Incompetence? Dishonesty? Take your pick. Diana's smile was brittle. Your analysis of Project Phoenix was correct. The board's independent audit confirmed it. Nolan was selling us a fantasy. And your father allowed this. Dad isn't thinking clearly. Hasn't been for some time. Diana hesitated. He's been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. We've kept it quiet, but it's affected his judgment, especially about people he trusts. I studied my soon-to-be ex-wife. And you're telling me this because? Because I'm offering you what you really want, your position back. CEO of Blackwell Industries, with complete autonomy. Dad will remain as figurehead chairman until his health forces a complete retirement. Lawrence cleared his throat. And what do you want in return, Miss Harlow? The dissolution of Phoenix Rising, the return of all Blackwell employees, and Diana met my gaze directly. The withdrawal of the divorce petition. I laughed softly. You want me to come back to you and to the company? It's the rational solution. You get what you wanted. The company retains its leadership and staff. The shareholders avoid disruption. And you? What do you get, Diana? Her expression hardened. Stability, security, the life we built together. The life you were willing to destroy for Nolan Pierce. Diana waved dismissively. A momentary lapse in judgment. Nolan manipulated both me and my father with false promises and shared history. Like you manipulated me. I stood, walking to the window. You know what's interesting, Diana? You haven't once said you made a mistake because you love me. It's all about stability, security, rationality. Those things matter more than fleeting emotions, perhaps. But they're not enough. I turned to face her. I don't want to come back, Diana. Not to you, and not to Blackwell Industries. Diana's composure cracked. Then what do you want? Why are you doing this? I want what I've earned. Recognition for my work, compensation for my contributions, and the opportunity to build something truly mine. You're being childish. Diana snapped. This is about your ego. No, Diana. It's about justice. For 10 years, I gave everything to your family's company while being treated as an outsider. I'm done building other people's legacies. Diana stood, her eyes cold. Then you leave me no choice. The board meets tomorrow. I'll recommend rejecting your offer and pursuing all legal remedies against you and your accomplices. After she left, Lawrence exhaled slowly. That could have gone better. Actually, I replied, it went exactly as planned. The next morning, I arrived at Blackwell headquarters for the reconvened board meeting. This time, I came alone. Diana sat in her father's chair, her posture rigid. The board members looked tense, keenly aware of the stakes involved. Before we begin, I said, I'd like to modify my offer. Diana's eyes narrowed. We're not interested in modifications. I think the board should decide that. I distributed new documents. I'm withdrawing my offer to acquire Blackwell Industries. Instead, I propose a merger between Blackwell and Phoenix Rising with a new corporate structure and leadership team. Ms. Reynolds reviewed the proposal. This is unexpected. It's unacceptable. Diana interjected. After everything he's done. What I've done, I cut in, is assemble a team of Blackwell's most talented employees, secure significant venture funding, and create a viable alternative to a flawed strategic plan. The rational solution, as someone recently pointed out, is collaboration rather than conflict. As the board members discussed the proposal, Diana pulled me aside. What are you doing? She hissed. I offered you everything. You offered me what you thought I wanted, I corrected. You still don't understand what this is about, do you? Then explain it to me. It's about creating something that can't be taken away from me on someone else's whim. The board voted 11-3 to explore the merger proposal, with Diana casting one of the dissenting votes. As the meeting concluded, I checked my phone to find a message from Thomas Wolfe. Phase 2 complete. Ready for Phase 3? I replied with a single word, yes. Chapter 9. The final move. The merger negotiations proceeded rapidly. Both sides recognized the potential synergies, Blackwell's established market position and Phoenix Rising's innovative team and fresh approach. A framework agreement was reached within a week, with me positioned as CEO of the merged entity and Ms. Reynolds as board chair. Diana fought the merger at every step, but with Montgomery still recovering and the board firmly behind the deal, her options were limited. The marriage dissolution proceeded in parallel, the prenuptial agreement ensuring a clean break with minimal assets changing hands. 2 weeks after the initial board meeting, I stood in my new office in the Blackwell Tower, unpacking my belongings. The merger would be announced to the public the following day, after the closing documents were signed. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Diana entered without waiting for a response. "Enjoying your victory?" she asked, her voice tight. "It's not about winning or losing, Diana. Spare me the platitudes." She closed the door behind her. "I want to know why. Why go through with a divorce when you're getting everything you wanted professionally?" I set down the book I'd been holding. "Because our marriage was built on a lie. You never loved me. You loved what I could do for your family. And now? What happens now? Now we move forward separately." Diana stepped closer. "It doesn't have to be that way. The company will be stronger with us united personally as well as professionally." "The company will be fine," I said. "And so will I." She studied me, her gray eyes calculating. "You've changed. The Victor the first married would have forgiven me by now. The Victor you married doesn't exist anymore. He died the moment your father announced Nolan as his successor." Diana's expression hardened. "You'll regret this, Victor. One day you'll realize what you threw away." "I didn't throw anything away, Diana. I simply recognized its true value." After she left, I received a text from Lawrence. "Final papers ready. Montgomery signed off. It's done." I smiled. Almost done. The next morning, key executives from both companies gathered in the Blackwell boardroom for the merger signing ceremony. Montgomery had insisted on attending, despite his doctor's advice. He sat at the far end of the table, looking diminished, but still defiant. Diana arrived last, immaculately dressed, but visibly tense. She took her place beside her father, avoiding my gaze. Ms. Reynolds called the meeting to order. "Today marks a historic moment for Blackwell Industries. The merger with Phoenix Rising represents not just a new chapter, but a new beginning." The legal teams distributed the final documents. I signed where indicated, then passed the papers to Thomas Wolfe, who did the same. When the documents reached Diana, she hesitated, pen hovering over the signature line. "Is there a problem, Miss Harlow?" Ms. Reynolds asked. Diana looked directly at me. "I want a private word with my husband before proceeding." A murmur ran through the room. I nodded. 5 minutes. We stepped into a small conference room adjacent to the boardroom. Diana closed the door firmly. "What is this about, Diana?" "The terms are set." "Not all terms." Diana's voice was low, urgent. "There's something you don't know. Something that might change your perspective." I sighed. "Whatever it is, it doesn't matter anymore." "It matters. I'm pregnant, Victor." I stared at her, processing her words. "Pregnant?" "Yes. 8 weeks." Diana placed a hand on her stomach. "Your child." "My child," I repeated, my voice flat. "Or Nolan's." Diana flinched. "How dare you? How dare I question the paternity when you were involved with your ex-boyfriend? Is that really so unreasonable?" "It's yours, Victor. I can prove it with a paternity test if you insist." I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. "Assuming it is mine, why tell me now? Why not use it as leverage earlier?" "Because I just confirmed it yesterday and because..." Diana hesitated. "Because I thought you should know before making any final decisions." "Final decisions like signing the merger agreement or finalizing our divorce?" "Both." Diana stepped closer. "We could still make this work, Victor, for our child." I felt a momentary disorientation. The future I had once imagined. A family with Diana. A legacy beyond business, flickering into view. Then reality reasserted itself. "If you're pregnant, and if the child is mine, I'll fulfill my responsibilities as a father. But our marriage is over, Diana." Her face hardened. "You deny our child a proper family out of spite?" "No, out of honesty." "What kind of example would we set?" "Staying in a loveless marriage built on manipulation and lies." "Love is overrated," Diana said bitterly. "My parents didn't love each other. They had an arrangement that worked. And look how well that turned out." I moved toward the door. We should get back. They're waiting. Diana caught my arm. One more thing. If you proceed with this merger and this divorce, I'll contest both. I'll fight the merger on legal grounds and the divorce on the basis of your marital obligations to our unborn child. I'll tie everything up in court for years. I studied her. You'd risk the company's future out of pride? I'd risk anything to win, Victor. You taught me that. I laughed softly. No, Diana. Your father taught you that. I taught you something else, though you never learned the lesson. And what's that? Always have a contingency plan. I opened the door and returned to the boardroom, Diana following. All eyes watched us expectantly. Is everything resolved? Ms. Reynolds asked. Not quite, I replied. There's been a development that affects our proceedings. I turned to Thomas Wolfe. Thomas, please distribute the alternate documents. Thomas opened his briefcase and removed a different set of papers. Diana watched in confusion as they were distributed. What is this? She demanded. Option B, I explained. A complete acquisition of Blackwell Industries by Phoenix Rising rather than a merger of equals. Montgomery struggled to his feet. This is outrageous. The board approved a merger, not an acquisition. The board approved the exploration of a merger, I corrected. The final terms were subject to negotiation and mutual agreement. I turned to Ms. Reynolds. As it happens, Phoenix Rising secured additional funding yesterday, enough to make an all-cash offer for Blackwell Industries at a 40% premium to current market value. The board members murmured in surprise, reviewing the new documents. This is a trick, Diana protested. A last-minute bait-and-switch. It's business, I replied. The kind of business the Blackwells taught me. Ms. Reynolds cleared her throat. Mr. Harlow, while this offer is certainly generous, the board would need time to properly consider it. Of course, take all the time you need, I said, gathering my papers, but be aware that the offer expires at close of business today. After which, Phoenix Rising will proceed with its independent launch and direct competition with Blackwell Industries. As I walked out of the boardroom, Diana followed me to the elevator. You planned this all along, she accused. The merger proposal was just a feint. Not a feint, a contingency. The elevator arrived, and I stepped inside. You should know, Diana. I had your pregnancy claim investigated before you even made it. Her face paled. What are you talking about? I've had you under surveillance since the retirement party. I know you visited your gynecologist yesterday. I also know the doctor confirmed you're not pregnant. The elevator doors began to close. Diana thrust her hand between them, forcing them back open. You had me watched. What's the word you're looking for? Manipulative, calculating, ruthless. I smiled coldly. I learned. From the best. The board won't sell to you, Diana insisted. Not once I tell them what you've done. What I've done is offer a premium price for a company facing significant strategic challenges. The board has a fiduciary duty to consider it, especially with your father's health issues and your demonstrated poor judgment. The elevator doors closed on Diana's stricken face. I descended to the lobby where Lawrence waited. How did it go? Lawrence asked as we walked to the car. Exactly as expected. Diana played her final card, a false pregnancy claim. And the board, they'll accept the acquisition offer. Ms. Reynolds already has the votes lined up. Lawrence nodded. And Montgomery? He'll fight it, but his health and the premium price make his opposition irrelevant. And Diana? I paused at the car door. Diana will learn what her father and I both know. Everything has a price. 3 days later, the board of Blackwell Industries voted 12-2 to accept Phoenix Rising's acquisition offer. Montgomery Blackwell, in a rage, suffered a second, more severe heart attack and was hospitalized. Diana disappeared after the vote, reportedly traveling to Europe. Nolan Pierce accepted a position with a competitor on the opposite coast. 1 month after the acquisition closed, I stood in my office in what was now Phoenix Blackwell Industries, looking out at the city skyline. Lawrence entered with a folder. The last of the integration documents, he said, placing them on the desk. The transition is complete. Any word from the Blackwells? Montgomery is being moved to a long-term care facility next week. Diana has reportedly purchased a flat in London. I nodded. And the divorce finalized yesterday. You are officially a free man. I turned from the window. Not free, Lawrence. Just unencumbered. Any regrets? I considered the question. Regrets imply I would do things differently given the chance. I wouldn't. Even knowing what it cost, especially knowing what it cost. I picked up the folder. Some prices are worth paying for clarity. As Lawrence left, I returned to the window. The Blackwell Industry sign had been replaced with the Phoenix Blackwell logo. A phoenix rising from flames, wings spread wide. It was, I thought, an appropriate symbol for my journey. Destruction is a prelude to rebirth. I had lost a marriage built on lies, but gained a company built on truth. In the end, the Blackwells had taught me their most important lesson: never mistake possession for ownership. True ownership came from creation, not acquisition. I had created something that could never be taken away. And in doing so, I had finally created myself. So, after hearing my story, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have swallowed the betrayal and walked away, or would you have fought fire with fire to reclaim what was truly yours? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.